right. Welcome to another episode of Ran Out of Talent. I'm your host, Joe Zer Jr. With me is my co-host, Zach Donovan. And tonight we have a special guest, old school Dirk Anderson. How's it going tonight, Dirk?
What's up? Everything is awesome, guys. Just busy, my man. Um, you know, if not working, talking about RC. So, yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand. We've been really busy at work, and then I've been busy trying to build that new B 7.1. It's going together fairly well, but we're also like trying to potty train a new puppy.
Oh,
All that. It's been taking some time, but yeah. And I've also been trying to get that T2 built.
oh, yeah.
Still?
Yes, because every time I have time to sit and wrench, there's something that goes in front of it. So
Vintage should always be first.
it should be unfortunate. Well, not unfortunate, but in Minnesota, we only really have a group of buggy guys racing.
Right.
So my re-release team car, I use that thing for parking lot racing. And that
Oh,
thing,
really?
it's phenomenal for parking lot racing.
All right.
Yeah, because I have no special attachment to it. And I really think it's important for my son to experience parking lot racing while it's around, because I experienced it when I was a kid. And it teaches you serious throttle control. It teaches you patience. It teaches you how things can be unfair and you're just there to have fun. So I run my team car because it's like, yeah, why not? So the reason why we love having you on regardless, because you've been on once or twice. I can't remember. I know you were on before the Vintage Clash. I don't remember if you were on before Vegas.
I don't think we did before Vegas. So,
Yeah.
Regardless, I'm happy to be here. Just so y'all know, anytime we get to talk about vintage RC, I'm excited to talk about it. And wow, what a year we've had, right? And I yeah, it's been just incredible, So I want to get on talk, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the background too, right, Joe? So what a good time.
Yeah, well, right now we're in a vintage boom. And today, Team Associated just, you might not agree with everything the Team Associated comes up with, but that little 124 scale RC10 is pretty cool.
It really is. It's funny because my buddy Nigel used to make those cars. He'd call them the M24s, right?
Yeah.
And, he started out with graphite, or I think he started out, a tub chassis. Then he did some different tub chassis and now Associated's kind of clicked on, and I've seen some people kind of saying, oh, the price, but it's a little different, when you got actual metal parts and it's not all plastic molded. And so I think it's definitely a little different. And wow, what a great job they did.
So I tell you what, I have one of the I actually have two reflexes now because my son just won one. Well, it's his, but so I have a Reflex 14B, and I actually have it. We have it handling very well on carpet currently, but man, the quality is on the lower side. It's got wood screws. It's a plastic chassis. It's, but now that new RC10, that's an aluminum tub chassis, and it's a lot like the JRX2 and the JRXT 118 scale. It's more of a scale. It's a really cool piece.
It really is. I mean, I was going to do the math and see if the scale equaled the price, right? Is it about half the price of a 110 scale 40 anniversary? I think it is. I think it's really close. So
Yep.
I guess half the car, but sometimes smaller doesn't always mean cheaper, right?
Not always.
No.
Mini Z's are a great example of that.
Yeah, right. What does average Mini Z sell for?
An average good 128 scale vehicle that you race with, like a reflex or I forget all the brands, but you're looking at about 750 to $1,000 for a fully complete race car.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. How much you say again?
Well, 750 to 1,000 for a 128.
Ooh.
But I mean, if you look at it and you look at the engineering into it, it's super small, but it's very, very, very precise, and everything's there that you would see in like a 12 scale pan car. Everything is there. It's just super small. Chris Mueller go ahead.
You can get an actual Mini Z ready to run for $190.
Okay.
The race version is
Chris Mueller's wondering where my 8 and 2-wheel drive is. I won a waffle this weekend. I won the Elite RC waffle.
Okay.
So I'm getting a 8 and Horn B71D. I'm really excited about, because now I have something to race on clay.
Yeah, he's building it, right?
Yep. Scotty Slater is saying that in a Mini Z. Well, they're not Mini Zs. And so I kind of learned when I did the media gig for Mod, calling the PNWC the Mini Z World is kind of slanderous.
Right.
yeah.
They're not Mini Zs. Doug Reek checking in. Our former co-host Joey Fitzsimmons checking in. How's it going? All right.
It's like comparing a TTO1 to like a Osmatics.
Yes. Definitely. So we're on tonight because, well, we're here to talk about how rules and how far things should go. And, I've had thoughts myself, because we've been discussing this we've had little blurbs the last 2 episodes, because Zach really isn't into vintage, because we're way older than Zach.
That's right.
That's right. But I think there should be when my passion comes from two classes for this particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
The first is USVTA when it first started, because that was I was racing that when it first started, and it was really cool. And the second class was Euro Truck.
Mm-hmm.
And both got bastardized and changed into something that was completely different than what they originally started as.
I forget who it was, but in Minnesota, it was one of Jason Chang's buddies. The first guy that put an Awesomatics down in VTA against the TC3s, I knew it was over right there. It was over.
Yeah, so I think it's important that if we're going to talk about rules, that we kind of talk about, where was vintage, where is vintage right now, and kind of where do we see it going. And then we can definitely talk about some rules if you're good with that.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's important we kind of, we kind of take a step back and kind of look, kind of who started the vintage racing to start with, you know what I mean? And we got my good buddy Eric Reichert that started the Vintage Off-Road Nats, right?
Yep.
The Vintage Off-Road Nats is getting ready to be celebrating its 19th year of running. And I don't think a lot of people know that.
I would think more like 15. I didn't know it was 19.
Yeah, 19 years. Isn't that crazy?
It's weird to think things being vintage 19 years ago, but you were racing in the early 80s. I was racing in the late 80s.
Yeah. So I was there probably 83, late 83, 84 to 89.
Yep.
But yeah, of course, vintage has been around a long time. But kind of when did vintage start to come back? And, I think Eric with Vo Nats is really responsible for that, which Vintage Off-Road Nationals. And, it's kind of taken off. I met him, I think, when I first started Old School RC, which I think is coming on
2012, or was it 2010?
I think it's 2012, I believe.
Yeah.
I think we're right at 13, almost 14 years now, I believe.
Because was it right around the time of the first RC10 re-release?
It was not long after the first re-release. So him and I met through that, and we had mutual friends. And we were doing, when I first came back, I was racing anything I could. I think when I was in college, I sold all my, I sold what vintage stuff I had left. I traded it for like some 18-inch subwoofers and an amp or something. Right?
It's funny, we've all been there.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about Zach, but I've had a couple of cars with like super big systems in them. Have you ever seen a 32-inch Orion subwoofer?
Ooh, I don't know that I've seen one that big.
So it filled up the trunk of my Cadillac, and we had to make a box out of a big card table in wood, and it needed a 1,000-watt amp just to power the SOB.
Wow. Yeah.
It sounded terrible.
Yeah, and I never, there was a hobby shop when I was going to college. It's funny because I'm back in my college town now, working at my college, and there was an indoor track even.
Yep.
So I would have had the opportunity to come back and race, but back in the day when you raced and you were sponsored, when you were done, they expected that stuff to be turned in, right?
Yep.
So
it was real sponsorship back then.
So yeah, it was, and it was a real deal, and they expected if you weren't racing their stuff anymore to turn that crap in, not crap, the good stuff, the gold back in the day,
Yeah.
And I had lost interest, and I think later in college or right out of college, I bought a Rustler, a ready to run Rustler, back when they were all still black chassis.
Was that the original Rustler in like 94, 95?
Yeah. I mean, yes.
That was based off the SRT, wasn't it?
I think it was very, very closely. And it hasn't changed a whole lot,
No.
other than a few things in gray plastics.
So
I had that put up. I found it in a box. When I decided I was going to get back to racing, and I tricked it out, and I was taking it and racing anywhere I could, dirt, carpet, whatever. And then I met my buddy Matthew Stevens, that owns Extreme Hobby Shop in Spring Hill, Tennessee. And we started talking, and we were both, sponsored AE drivers at some point when we were younger, and knew a lot of the same people. And, amazingly enough, I started getting online and looking, and like all the people I raced with back in the day were either, they owned these companies or were still around, or, I saw first one of the things I did was look up Eustace, and he was still around. I was like, holy cow. This guy's got to be like 90 now, but he still looks like 20, right?
He looks young as hell with a little bit of a gray beard.
Yeah. But Eustace and I have really rekindled our relationship, and it's really amazing. But and it kind of took off from there, man. We were doing some carpet. We had a gymnasium that we're setting up an off-road carpet track every other weekend.
Yep.
And we started very slow. I mean, I think we had 4 to 5 vintage cars. We did like an expedition, like one of the events, and slowly it took off. And we had, I don't know. I mean, there were some big races. We had 5 and 6 heats of vintage cars, when they would do their carpet invitational race they did.
Okay.
And we would travel to Bonats every year as a group. We were called the Tennessee Contingents. So we'd go as a big group every year and go. And, that's where I really started to build my relationship with Eric. And we all went for several years after that. And then, things kind of dwindled off. And, but, with all that said, Eric is really the one responsible for really bringing, vintage racing back into where it is. But, we've just, we've put some formulas together over this last year and been building. And it's really about momentum, right? If you got a lot going on, there's parts to support it, because it got a little edgy there for a while, right? We really had no support, and it was getting very, very expensive. So we really started to see signups dwindle, right?
Yep.
Less people were coming because it's just getting too expensive to race.
For sure. Like a good example, I love JC Racing products. They make a quality product, but spindles and hubs for RC10 based cars, $35 in the US.
Yeah.
I mean, and I get that's what they cost, but until Associated was making them, that was your only option.
Yeah. 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 I mean, you're right. You know, we had Fan RC really step in for a while.
Yep. Oh yeah. There's some feelings about Fan RC from some people.
Yeah.
I don't have any ill will towards any of those guys.
No, I don't either. They kept us alive, and
definitely,
you know, Associated's always been really good to me, right? And but there's certain things sometimes I do that they'll kind of give me a little smack across the face, say, "Hey, be careful."
Yep.
But you know, what's most important to me more than anything is the vintage racing in the community. And, you know, when that momentum started gearing back up, you know, I moved back from Texas and started doing vintage racing again. And we started to pick up momentum. You know, Drew Boyd and I teamed up, of course, y'all know, to do, and Mike Kirby. And I mean, there's a lot of people involved. Jason Rona, of course, Eddie Henley, the Henleys.
Oh, yeah.
But it was really about, you know, the relationships, you know, Dunbar helped create. Like I knew all the 80s people, right? So we knew we would be able to get the 80s guys there, but I missed like all the 90s pretty much. You know,
I consider like 92, 93 to like 98, 99. I consider that myself the golden era. And maybe because that's when I was reading RC Car Action the most. But I mean, to me, that was the golden era of racing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I hear. And seeing these guys race.
Yeah.
You know, the Scott Hughes, the Matt Francis, you know, of course, Matt Ledger and I had raced a lot of different vintage races together. You know, seeing, oh my goodness. Seeing all the different guys come out from the 90s and how well they were still able to wheel a car.
Oh,
you know?
Masami was doing same lap times as Spencer Rivkin. He just wasn't as consistent.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like he was hot lapping the A group a couple of times in Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it was amazing to see all those folks on the stand again. And, you know, a lot of the big names that had box art cars after them. And,
so much different. I love the different interpretations of the box art. And I see you got a couple Lozies behind you. He was in one of the lower mains, but I love watching him. There was a double XT CR box art truck. It's so plain and simple, but it's so clean and nice looking. And he was the only one with that. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
So, you know, I think one of the things that we have always, you know, since old school has started and, you know, at the VONATs and the different races, one of the things that I've truly learned is that vintage racing is about community, right? It's really, there wasn't even a huge competitive streak like at VONATs and stuff when we originally first started going. I mean, I met Jason Roon at my first VONATs, and you know, it was competitive, but it was kind of a little different than it is now, right?
Yeah.
And we've always tried to expand on the community piece, no matter what we do. Like, you know, one thing that's always been important to me is, you know, that we go out and we hang. We would always typically meet like the first night and have dinner. We would typically go out the night after the races, and we really always kind of, you know, tried to continue that. Even in Indiana, we did. I think you might have stopped by. You stopped by one of the dinners I think we had at that event.
After the mains.
Yeah.
There was a deal at the casino, and I'm just like, dude, I'm done. I went at like 8:30 that night or something.
Yep. So we always try to do that, and we are. I mean, this group of people, and it's grown. Old school RCs now sitting close to, I think, 14,000 members.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could be in the 100,000s, right? But we try to keep it tight. We try to keep it with people that we know, that we trust, or that a friend recommends to the group. And we are. I mean, it's a truly close knit community.
Yes.
But with this past year we've had, vintage has just skyrocketed between Indiana, the Vegas race. Bonat's had its biggest year this year as well. I know that starting out the year that North Carolina, I was heartbroken that I didn't get to race that, had their biggest year they've had.
I'll tell you what, Shu had a blast in North Carolina. I talked to him a bunch about that because a week after that, he flew to Omaha and we were doing the TTO1 enduro. He's getting it all in. It's like
he loves vintage, doesn't he?
Yeah, I get it. And it's kind of cool. Like you have Ryan Hasty, who is somewhat new into RC, and I forget the young man's name from
Bryson Furnish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, I called him Iron Thumbs during the freaking during the Vintage Clash because he was popping ball cups on like a man. I'm just saying, snap. I'm like, oh my! It's like, dude, I feel like my thumb's breaking watching that kid.
Yeah, Bryson is such a nice young man, nice family, and
yeah,
they call Vint Nash. I don't think he wants me to say his real name on live because he'll probably get picked up tomorrow by somebody. But the same in North Carolina, not this year, but the last year when I cut my finger off, literally the heat before that, I was pushing I was pushing so hard on a ball cut to put it back on, it literally blew my thumbnail out. Right? So then I cut the freaking finger off beside it. I'm like, man, this is not my weekend. But he, so that, I was really, sad not to go to North Carolina, but this year, but sometimes life just takes over, but, we're talking about momentum, getting I think between the re-releases and I think more than anything, getting all those former world champs and all the former big racers from the 80s and the 90s excited and back to the track. And the other big thing is for the first time, Mod Media broadcasted a vintage race live across the country. Right?
So fun. Both of those vintage races were like dream come true for me.
Yes. I haven't talked to Matt yet to see that. I know that at one point in time, he said that, the Vintage Clash and Old School Reunion rivaled against the Last Worlds. So I'll be curious to see what the numbers were at Vegas, because I'm sure they were really, really strong.
I think Vegas number-wise, I think it equaled or beat the 23 Worlds.
Really?
Because there was a lot of after the fact.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You get a lot of those impressions after the race, because we're looking at impressions, and it's like the funny, like Masami's hinge pin popping out. I forget, that was like the #1 photo of the entire weekend.
Really?
I want to say it had over 200,000 impressions.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, what a show he put on, right? We were talking about it the other night. I'm currently helping Jason with the ONS series because we're trying to get back to our roots of 10 scale racing, right? What made 10 scale racing what it is was, the outdoor racing back in the days. And we're trying to get back to the roots. So we've brought vintage into that as well. But we were talking about Masami and how, man, he was just like a machine that weekend, right? Oh, yeah. He just never stopped. Like, he was signing an autograph, wrenching on a car, taking photos, taking content. I'm like, how in the Hades did this guy do everything he did that weekend and accomplished? And I went back and I went back and looked at the content and I'm like, I barely had time to scratch a, you know what? And this guy was just like, I don't know. He never stopped. And, you know, and then seeing Roger, right?
Yep. That was a surprise.
That was a surprise to me. I had no idea, you know?
Yeah.
And
I had no idea. I mean, that was, yeah. And then you see like Roger with all the old school guys just BSing like everything just happened yesterday. That was kind of cool.
It was phenomenal, man. If there was ever a dream year in RC, I think last year was it. And, you know, we talked about, you know, not doing the Clash and Old School RC reunion, but every 2 years. I'm just hoping we didn't break any momentum by stopping for a year. You know what I mean? But
I think you'll be all right.
I think it's actually good to take a break because it's kind of a lot to do all. I mean, you have these other vintage races on top of kind of the whole vintage movement, and now it's getting a little volatile. So I think it's okay that there's a little break in there.
Agree.
You still have you still have the Vonette, you have the Vegas race, and I think there's another vintage race in there as well.
Yeah, let's talk about it real quick. So you got
cooking up something too.
Say what?
I think Eddie Henley's.
Yeah, Eddie is. I don't know. We've talked about it, and then the date was right on top of another date. And I'm not really sure where they landed.
Yeah,
I mean, but
he's very vague. Well, not vague about it. He just doesn't want people talking about it before he's got something set in stone.
Oh wow. Yeah, I know. And we've been talking, and you know, I don't want to say too much about it because I want Eddie to come out and announce it before I do too much. So you got the let's talk about the vintage racing this year, Zach, since you brought it up. So there's a Row Runners in Camellia, California on March 7th. That's going to have some 1/10 and 1/8 with some vintage in it.
Mm-hmm.
You got the 3J Concepts O&S series, March 19th through the 22nd in Savannah. You've got the vintage.
Sorry, but I just want to say with those ONSs, that's where vintage is going to thrive.
Oh my goodness,
dude! Outdoor, not necessarily loose dirt, but it's going to be fairly loamy. You know, obviously a B7.1 is going to be faster, but nothing's going to drive like old like B3 or team car, depending on what the rules are. I didn't look too hard at the vintage rules, to be honest, but
they're very similar to Vegas. So focusing on the so the rules, they are focusing on the two, you know, biggest classes, the 89 to 93, right?
Yep.
For the 2-wheel drive. Then we're going to do the stadium truck up to 97, I believe it was.
Pre, right?
Yeah, pre Triple X, basically.
Yeah.
You got the vintage showdown at my lovely lady Mimi's track in Maryland on April 11th. You got one that RC10 Talk is doing called the Roostapalooza that is just loose as hell dirt. Get out your sandblasting glasses and be ready.
Yep.
You know, there's one called the Toy Car Time 1/10, 1/8 scale in Easley, South Carolina. You got another J Concepts ONS. You got the Vintage Shootout in Boontown, New Jersey. You got the J Concepts ONS in Florida, right around the beautiful part of Florida. You got the Team Associated Vegas race, September 2nd through 6th. Right behind that, the next weekend, you got the Vintage Off-Road Nationals.
Yep.
Then you got the Kinwall Classic that they're going to make an all vintage race this year. The 9th through 11th of October.
Yeah. So they moved because originally wasn't Vegas and the Kinwall Classic back-to-back weeks?
It was. You want to hear the funniest thing ever?
Huh.
So they moved their race
to
a different date.
Okay.
And then the Vegas race ended up on top of it again. And within a week. But you know, the thing about Vegas, man, is if you don't act quickly and get the venues, they're gone.
Yeah, you get what you get. I mean, people complained about Silver State being so damn early this year. Well, that's what Joey could get.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they have this giant wide open schedule. I will be honest, I am a little disappointed that the vintage race did not go to South Point. Just because South Point, the Orleans is a great facility, but I don't think much in Vegas holds candle to the South Point.
Yeah, I think when you do something that big,
yep,
it's a lot easier to do the second year in the same venue.
Sure.
Right?
Oh, absolutely. And
yeah.
Another reason why Silver State was moved, because the rest of the year was full. And they said, RC racers, yeah, sure, you come and you stay at the hotels, but racers don't gamble the same way as cowboys do. You know what I mean? They don't see, they don't see the ROI out of RC racers as they do. Even sometime late April, they have this giant wrestling tournament there. Oh, that's one of their banner weekends for gambling.
Well, I bet. Yeah. Yeah. So we're not shy any racing. Like you said earlier, it is a boom, right?
Yep.
You know, you got people producing kits, you got people producing upgrades, you got a lot going on. You know, and you know, I think it's where it is just because it's a good combination of things, right? You know, you had some great races that were broadcasted across the world. People got to see their legends that they grew up loving on TV. You know, and they got to come spend time with them, man. That's you know, and it's just the other thing, dude. It's just a different environment. I'm sorry, but you know, it's laid back. It's fun. You know, if you come and you take, I have a saying I've been using for a while, and no matter what I do in my life, in my career, but, you know, take your job seriously, but not yourself, and have fun. Right.
Sure.
So if you can create vintage the same way, come out, have fun. If you want to be competitive, but don't come out and let getting beat discourage you or any of that. You know, it's about the camaraderie, hanging with your buddies, seeing people that you haven't seen in many, many years. You know, that's what it's about. You know, living out the joy of your childhood and doing it all over again. And honestly, the cars are a lot easier to work on and a lot more fun to drive. Just saying there, Zach.
Scotty wants us to get into it, but we will in a second. One thing I did want to say about the Vegas race, to where you shouldn't take yourself too seriously. About 10% of the people racing there, it was their first time.
Yes, it was. Yep.
Which is wild to me.
Yep.
But it's so cool as well.
Yep.
So people want us to talk about, we were on to talk about the rules, and it seemed like something made you click about the new hubs from Exotech. And now I'm going to say this: Exotech is a wonderful company.
100%.
I buy a bunch of stuff from them.
Yeah.
I bought a bunch of stuff from my little reflex from. I've always loved Exotech.
Yeah.
And it's no slight against them, but you know, you see that that vertical ball stud mount, and it's
I mean,
have we gone too far? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You know, I've always had the motto of, you know, Joe, what is my goal? What has my goal been in vintage racing?
To keep people racing.
Keep people racing, to have fun. But my ultimate goal was to grow vintage racing, right?
Yes.
And I think we have succeeded. We have done that, right? We have done it where we're kind of on the cusp of some people not necessarily liking it, right?
Mhm.
Sure.
Some of your true vintage people and some of my best friends, just going to be honest, they're not, they could care less. They could care less if we had this boom. They could care less if we still had 60 people to race, right?
Sure.
But there's some that want to see it grow. And what I think it has done is it has been absolutely amazing for the industry. I don't know how many times I've been told over this past year that I think vintage is going to save 10 scale racing. And I mean, I know that's a big thing to say, but
I don't disagree with it.
Yeah, it's gotten very cookie cutter. All the cars look exactly the same.
Yep.
Damn near all of them drive the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's 90% of the time they're on slicks, right?
Or carpet. You're running fuzz
Or carpet, right?
Slicks.
Which I love both. And don't get me wrong.
I'm going to a big carpet race in Iowa in a week and a half that I'm pumped about. They're up to 188 entries. Anyways.
Sweet. I mean, I love carpet racing. That's kind of what I started doing when I came back, was racing on carpet. I love it. And I really want to see the vintage cars on some carpet somewhere. And
so my buddy's working on
run me out of America to Europe for saying that.
So my buddy's working on his stuff right now, and he's been buying a lot of the Dragon Punch stuff, and he's trying to get his Cliff Lett truck working well. He tried that new RC10T 4-wheel drive truck on carpet. He said it wasn't a carpet vehicle. We'll leave that at that.
I can imagine how twitchy feeling that was.
It'd be nuts.
I bet it tried to pull the carpet up.
You know what? I bet you if I were to look at the truck and if I were to glue the living crap out of the sidewalls, it would be phenomenal. PJ's wondering where in Iowa, Muscatine, Iowa at Island Speedway. The Iowa Champs is like the 20th and 21st. Sorry, guys. And we're not ignoring the chat. We're just, we're just talking. But we're trying to get it going a little bit on carpet. I haven't, like, my team car I was going to throw on carpet, but I'm like, it's such a good parking lot car. I don't want to screw it up.
So I think kind of what you're getting at is the spirit of vintage racing, right?
Yes.
So what I'm passionate about with USVTA was that you had to be in the spirit of vintage racing. You know, the muscle cars with this. If it wasn't in the spirit of that era, then it wasn't allowed. And then slowly we kind of, worked our way towards it.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some things that have been pushing the extreme for a while, but I'll tell you what I am. I am a supporter of anybody that's trying to make stuff for vintage RC, right?
Absolutely.
But what I'm also is important to me that they are in touch with the vintage community and understand what is needed and what is pushing the envelope, right? So, I mean, I just saw you mentioned Dragon Punch. I see Daniel's listening.
Yep. JC Racing.
Yeah. So most of those guys, they're very in touch with the vintage community.
They are
very in touch, right?
And one thing I got to mention is they kept us alive in what I'd call the dark period between like 2014 to 2024.
Yeah.
They really
there's a lot. I mean, JC Racing, I mean, John is one of the most incredible people I've ever spent time with, right? Same with Daniel McDade, same with Jose Zayas, same with, I mean, I can name it. And, one of the things that is important, even coming from the owner of some of the very large companies, is that we support these people that are operating out of their garages and trying to make a name for themselves. And, I think AE's done a good job with that. I think J Concepts has done a good job with that. I think a lot of the companies have helped support those guys and help make them, great.
Yep.
I guess when you asked the question. What I don't want to see is I think the vintage community, we have always came together as one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I don't want to see is I don't want to see a divide, right?
Sure.
I understand you have people that think things should be a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
but let me ask you this: what is most important when it comes to racing and comes to events?
Gotta have fun.
Got to have fun and got to have entries. You got to
Right.
have people to race with.
Right. So we got to be very careful what direction we go. I mean, there's, I've spent time, Nick DeVito and I spend a lot of time. There's a group of us that spend a lot of time that talk about rules and stuff in the background.
Yep.
Jose Zayas has been back in the picture for a while. There's not many nights I don't talk to Chris Van Air on the phone. And what we want to be careful of is we want to make sure we're living in the heritage of these cars. But when it's all said and done, how much difference do these parts truly make? When it's said and done, really, it's the driver more than anything. We all know that, right?
Yes.
I don't care. You could give Chris Van Air a freaking Tamiya Fox. He's probably going to outrun me in my loaded out RC10.
Yeah, him and Adam Rails going back and forth.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, and then Jose and a lot of the others that are just awesome, right?
Sure.
But then I have my friends, my close friends that have been my friends since old school RC started.
Mm-hmm.
That they are really truly about the roots and the heritage and those things. So we got to try to find a balance, right? And we have to keep people interested in it. And if there wants to be small races that people do, just truly in the heritage of it, heck yeah, I'm going to come to those too, right?
Yep.
But let people make their choice and do what they want to do. I guess kind of what set me off about that part is it kind of went somewhere we didn't need to go, right?
Yeah.
People talk about, and don't get me wrong, I think it's one of the best. It could probably win a Design of the Year award because it's freaking fantastic and well thought out. And it is you know what? It probably is needed if we're pushing the speed on these cars and we're running them on carpet and we're running them on high bite like Hoosier and the different areas, being able to drop that lower down. But you also have people making shock towers that are kind of doing the same, right? That's giving you kind of the same effects.
Yep.
So, and then it just being aluminum and having the top mounted, it just didn't feel right to me. But it is a great design. And I think, we had to, I kind of said, is it time to draw a line in the sand? I think it is. I think we had to step back. We have to kind of look at what is available to us. And we got to figure out what's going to happen with these rules.
So one thing that was missing at all these events was tech. Okay.
Yes, except for Indiana.
Right.
There was some tech pre-check at Indiana.
Were we supposed to tech? I ain't tech.
North Carolina. Yeah, it was a pre-check with a monogram on your car. It was not really kept up with during the whole thing. But when I went to Hoosier for the Clash this year, I mean, tech was nutso, right? I think there's got to be some kind of tech, right? In order to keep things moving. But is that going to turn people off? Is it not? I think there's probably about 50% people that think you should tech, but it adds a whole nother element, right?
So what I mean by tech is, because I talked to Bob Stormer a little bit before this podcast. And I'm like, what do you think? Because, Bob, he's You know, you talk to Bob about how many cars he has. He goes, well, what do you consider a car? Because it's in between 1,500 and 2,000, depending on what you consider a car.
Yeah.
And what he wants to see is, and you know, I don't know, does Jay Con even make the hazard wheels anymore? The hazard wheels and tire. Okay.
Yeah, I think they're there. Yeah.
Because he wants to see a full heritage class.
Yeah.
Where you run brush motors and round cells, okay? And maybe make a rule of what the round cells, how far you can, whatever. He goes, let us have that class. And then whoever wants their big bores, their brushless, their lipos, this and that and that and that. And you could call that a modified class because it truly is. What was the motor limit at Vegas? Because I think go ahead.
13.5, which I think is, in all honesty,
way over motored.
Too much. And we did that in the spirit of our friends from Europe, because the rules were kind of designed after Europe with my buddy Drescher. You know, there was a bunch of us working on the rules together and refining them. I said originally it was going to be a 10.5, and I finally talked him into a 13.5.
Wow.
So ideally, in all honesty, what I would love to see is heritage. Yes, I agree halfway with Bob Stormer.
Okay.
Because I've been around when heritage class was kind of ran that way. When I don't think it's called classic class. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but Eric had it, and we would go, and you had to have the original jelly bean wheels, original jelly bean tires. Okay. They didn't have to be the knobby jelly beans, but some sort of jelly beans. Most people were running the old Pro lines that had the little patterns on them. I can't remember what they're called. But they were running those, and you would go out there and you'd be running against some Tamiya that could run 2.2 tires, and they would just wax your, you know what. So it's like the class kind of died. Like nobody brought RC10s anymore because it was done. But we do need that class. And I think it has been successful. It was very successful in North Carolina. It was very successful at Hoosier, right? For the Clash. And that class did decent in Vegas, but I think, in all honesty, I'm not going to say anybody messed up, but I think the way that class could have been better, because there, you know, you had short arm cars and 6-gear cars out there with big bore shocks,
and that's
I just don't. It's kind of a turnoff. We got to be able to allow for the heritage cars to be heritage cars.
Yes.
Now, I don't think anybody. Now, I know that Jason, they're going to be trying some all vintage crystal radios, brush motors, NiCad cells. I think he might be allowing lipos.
Yeah, I think that would be. I think allowing lipos would be an okay move. So,
I'm not against the 540 motors though. The silver can handout motor.
No,
not at all. I think that would be great.
That used to be. So I had my own racing series back in the day.
Yeah.
And when the RC10 re-release came out, and this is where I screwed up. I said RC10s only. I should have opened it up to JRX2s as well and Kyoshos. That's where I screwed up. But as RC10s only, you had to run the J Concept wheels and tires, the 1.7s and the 1.9s. And then we ran one style of Reedy Wolfpack, because back in those days, you could go on to Stormer and see actually how much he had in stock. And he had plenty of these batteries. He had over 50 of them. So it's like we got plenty, and we made it a J motor class. And it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, we went down to the B main a couple of times in that class. But you're right. I mean, if you allow lipo and a J motor, that's fine.
Yeah. No, I agree. and the Tamiya handout classes have been pretty successful at a lot of the vintage races.
Yeah.
I mean, I think honestly, if I was to say you could take the heritage class, make it a silver can class, you could take. I honestly think you could take. If you had a middle class, I'm not saying add a class yet. I think we got some things to figure out. I think you could go 21 5s in your regular cars.
There's
Now,
a lot of good fixed timing options. Gravity makes a really good, really good fixed timing motor. Hobby Wing, it's a little far apart. So we dynoed about 10 Hobby Wing motors, and there was 2,000 RPM discrepancy between the slowest to the fastest.
Wow, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So, but the gravity's a lot closer. Go ahead, Zach.
No, so I've been trying to figure out how to bring up this point for the last 15 minutes, and I didn't know where to go. But before I forget it for the third time, Dirk, are you familiar with drag racing?
Yes.
Okay, so RC drag racing really took off right as the pandemic hit, 2020, 2021.
Yep.
And it got really big. And then I think Joe and I discussed this, and then it started eating itself. And we kind of noticed, that maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And that's kind of where I think, vintage races is going, or could be going. And so that's kind of why we wanted to kind of discuss this and be hey, this could be a problem. Do we need to address this?
Yeah. No, I think we do. And I've said plenty of time, I'm not going to allow vintage to be another drag racing scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So, what happened with drag racing is it was supposed to be fun. It was supposed to be for anybody to bring your kids out, to have a good time. And then all of a sudden people started producing parts after parts. People were putting thousands and I was there. I was doing it.
Yes.
Thousands and thousands in cars. And then it just imploded. Right. But I think some reasons, if you look at, COTS, King of the Streets, right?
Yep.
Had a lot of momentum. It was televised. It was just a big event. Then I'm trying to remember the other
chunk of it.
Yeah. So we got to be careful, and we got to be very, very careful in what we do. Because if you make it so hard for everybody, if you had to put big bore shocks on every single car, bam, you're talking another
$120.
$120, right? You got to buy all these aluminum parts to be competitive.
Yep.
Well, I think one thing that's being overlooked, and what most people would consider the most advantageous upgrade part, is the tire and rim and foam combination.
Yeah.
And just like the cars nowadays, they all drive similar. And I know the cars back then all didn't drive similar, and they're not all equal. But if you have a light car and it's close, I mean, you have a couple upgrades that you allow for XYZ, then it's a spec tire. And then you have something like that, and it could be a bring your own spec tire. And as long as there's no shenanigans going on, it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
But in terms of performance advantage, I know we've all raced outside and all raced on the wrong tire. I've raced inside on the wrong tire. You're seconds a lap off.
Yep.
So I think ONS is going to do that.
Yep.
We're bringing.
They made a tire rule for it. It's not necessarily a handout, but there's no web tires allowed, no slicks, and no the pins interlock. The pins have to be separate, and you're good to go, a double D IFMAR pin, if you will, if you can find any. But what I was going to say about the drag racing, and I bring this point up every time we talk about it, the second they broke 2.0 is when that started skydiving to the ground.
Yeah.
Now we cannot do the vintage version of a 2.0 second lap. What I'm worried is what I'm going to see is basically a rear motor B7 with the J-Con vintage looking body on it. That's what and somebody's going to be like, "Oh, that's fine."
Yeah.
That's what I'm most
That ain't gonna happen. Mark was just saying that Mark Baldwin, he said they tech between every time at World RC, right?
sure.
It just gets harder when you have as many entries, but do we
Yep.
have to push 500 entries every time? I truly think a good number for a good solid race. Huh?
I'm sorry, I interrupted you, but you
Yeah,
could
no. Yeah. You can have, I think 250, 180 to 250.
350 is a magic top number.
Yeah, it really is. 350 is a good number, which is right where we're at Hoosier, right?
Yep.
Vegas is going to try to push 700 this year. So
I'm not worried about it per se, but we're going to have more runtime. I understand.
Yeah. Yes. More runtime, later nights, a lot more to come on all that. Here's the deal. I want more than anything. I want everybody to have fun. And I can tell you that Jose Zayas and I have been working on a rule set in the background for a long time. We spent a lot of time talking to our friends in Europe, our friends in Australia, all of our friends in the US. We've got every set of rules and we have them outlined. Okay. And you would be very, very, it's very interesting that they're not as far off as you think they are, right?
I know in the UK, the vintage scene has been huge for years. It's not like a boom and bust scenario. They actually have they bring their, because four wheel isn't ran that often in the UK. They only do it at big events. So they bring their regular buggy, they bring their rain buggy, and they bring their vintage car. It's I don't know. I know the Miklos, but I follow Miklos on TikTok as well as Facebook and whatnot. But on his TikTok, constant vintage racing at Robin Hood and all those other places. It's so cool. And those guys, you can tell, those aren't brand new vehicles. They've been racing them probably since the 80s. You're right. I can't wait to see the rules you come up with because, like I said, we can't get it. We're not out of hand yet, but we can't get to the point to where you can't put the smoke back into an ESC.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. We don't want to get.
We're past that. I'm sorry. We're past. I don't think anybody disagrees with electronics rules except for the motor limits. Right?
Sure.
I think there's some discussion. When I talk to my European friends, they definitely think we should slow the cars down.
Yep.
Focus more on running what the cars were meant to do because we've made the cars so fast, right? Yep. Slow the races down, focus more on the different components. But I also think we're going to be seeing a race. I strongly believe. I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller and I don't have any inside information, but I do think we're going to see AE release a Racers Edition. That's probably going to have big bore shocks on it and all that. So that could turn the world upside down. But what they are trying to do is keep it going, but keep it inexpensive. Right. But as we saw with Scott Hughes in Vegas, the big bores didn't make that big of a difference.
They did at the Clash, but in Vegas. So, but a lot of the low
different surface.
Totally different surface. Yeah.
Any Lowsy guys in Vegas had big bores.
Yeah.
I can't remember seeing one because there were in the main buggy class. What was that 90 or was that? What was the big buggy class? The one with 150 entries.
Which one? Oh, the 89 to 93.
Yeah. There were 2 or 3 Lowsies in the main, and none of them had big bores. And Lowsy TLR makes big bore shocks.
Yeah. I think here's the deal with big bore shocks. I think they have a place, right? I do. I think there's a place for big bore shocks, but I think there's also a place to run cars without big bore shocks. And when I
Sure.
say that, I think they just need to be situated right. Now, if you want to run your car that has small bores against the big bores, fine. But I think there's a place where there's going to be some races that allow it.
Yep.
But I think, my goal is to put out a set of old school RC sanctioned vintage rules, right?
Mhm.
Or old school RC sanctioned rules.
Yep.
And try to get people on board to use those rules. I think every race is like this close to having it right.
Yes.
I think if we could just close that gap and put a set of rules in, and we could put some time into tech in and to make it fair and important for everybody, I think it would be great. I think we'll see it. I think we'll see the rules come out. I think there'll be people say F your rules. There'll be people say thank you for finally doing this. So we'll just kind of have to see how it plays out. But it has been taken seriously. It's been taken seriously for a long time on trying to figure out how to bring it all together. And you're still going to have people do what they want to do regardless.
Oh, yeah.
So let them do it. If it brings vintage cars to the yard, like I said, let's play, right?
Right.
But I don't think we need to. Some things are pushing it.
Yeah.
And if it was me as an RC company, if you're going to focus on vintage, focus on bringing vintage back to its heritage, right? And when I say that, I know I put a comment like making 1.5 wheels and tires, right?
Mm-hmm.
And really, do tires make that big of a difference? Not really, but it's just
they're all on similar sizes. But
Yeah.
like you said earlier, if somebody's on 2.2 and you're on the J Concepts hazard wheels, you might as well pack your stuff and go home.
right.
Yeah, if you have a spec tire,
Yes.
if you will.
But if you have a spec wheel and tire, but the problem is spec doesn't work for every brand.
No. And you're right.
Right?
That is a problem because the way we've been talking, it's almost more associated center.
Yeah.
And but another thing, big bore shocks. The reason why I know a lot of associated guys run big bore shocks because we didn't have rebuild kits from 2014 until the modern, but neither is Lozy.
Yeah. We did what we did to survive.
Yes.
We did what we did to keep vintage alive. Transmissions, right?
The B6 gears and
So I mean, here's the deal: you couldn't find, man. You could not find parts for a stealth car.
Yeah.
You could not find parts for a third gear car or my goodness, 6 gear car. Thank you. You couldn't find them. It got to the point where you're beg, stealing, and borrowing from your buddy to have anything, or you were paying astronomical prices.
Bob Stormer has it all.
Stormer does have it all, and then I had a ton of it. There were a lot. Mike Kirby probably still has a ton of it. He's got probably eight of everything. But then there's others that believe that if it was out in the year and it was being raced in that year back in the day, why can't it be raced now? Like, why can't you race a MIP SP1 in a heritage class car, right?
Sure.
Because some of the other cars that we are allowing now, like one of my favorites, you got the old JJ car back here.
Yeah, I love that car, but some people are like, "Hey, how do you call that vintage?"
Right. So
not that one. Sorry, I meant the JC racing one.
Yeah, we'll talk about the JC car as well.
Yeah.
So, and I have the one sitting behind me is an OG car that car was based off of. That's why it's sitting behind me.
Sure.
But I raced this car and had this car at the 87 Worlds, right? I was still a young driver. I didn't compete in the event that I was there. I got to practice. I got to run on the track. I got to do some of those things. But a lot of people didn't realize, like the cars that Joel and I ran, they had a ball diff in them, right? They had a slipper system on them. You know, and when we originally rebuilt Jay's car for him, me and my late buddy Daniel Rollins, you know, all that stuff kind of came back to light. And when they designed this car, they did design it with some, you know, a little bit of modern twist and a few things like, you know, ways to put your shorty down and, you know, a few other things. But, you know, otherwise it's pretty darn close, right? You know, out of the box, does it probably have a little bit of advantage over a 6-gear RC10? Probably so, you know. But then again, if you were to give the right driver the different car, they're going to win with either car. So it's just the one thing we can't forget more than anything is why we're out there doing it, and that's to have fun and to relive our childhood. And if we can remember all those things, I think we're going to be fine regardless of what the rules are. Yeah, you're right, Mark. There's some great questions and stuff on here. But let's talk about the JC car real quick.
I love the car, and I talked a couple of my buddies into getting one for that Vegas race because they were legal. But that one comes into question all the time.
It does, but did it win the race?
No.
Right? I'm trying to remember where Drescher finished. I mean, the JC cars did, huh?
Third, I think.
Was it third overall? Yeah. So this is Skittles. If you ever heard me talk about Skittles, this is my car I call Skittles.
Beautiful tough.
And my boy PJ Westoff that you saw on here asking about Iowa earlier. He won this car on a waffle years ago, and he gifted it back to me. And I'm glad he did. But this is an original, when they say WAN or whatever, how that wide arm car. This is what they were. They were, you know, 10T front nose plate, narrow rear end with the wide RPM arms on it, right? The JC car was designed after this car. But when the JC car was originally designed, it was designed during the transmission debacle. So he was, you know, John was trying to keep us alive. So him and Factory Works worked on, like, I think Factory Works had designed the case, but really didn't have the way to really fabricate the case and the molding like John did. So Jeff and John worked together, and they came up with that case because we needed transmissions to race, right? And then the other piece of it is they made it look just like a original case, you know, like a 6-gear case, very close, right? Close. It looked good in a car. And there's a lot of debate. There's a lot of debate. Do big bores give you an advantage? Does the B6 internals give you an advantage? The transmission lessen the shocks, in my opinion, honestly.
You're building in reliability with the transmission.
Yes, it did, you know, but there were so many different transmission options. Did you know that MIP, there was a gear diff made for it back in the day? Did you know that?
No, I did not know that. If you find one, it's a crap ton of money.
Oh, it is. I've had a couple and I don't anymore, and I wish I did. But you know, they actually made a gear diff back in the day, and I know that Fan RC made a gear diff recently. Okay. But I can tell you from running Hoosier recently, there was times the gear diff was better, and there were times that the ball diff was better. So
I see all these kids going gear diff on clay now.
Yes. Well, that's what I'm saying. It depends on the conditions, though.
That's
when the track is in the morning when it's first watered.
Yeah,
I wouldn't recommend the gear diff. You know, as things start. Yeah.
To me, gear diff is pure carpet and AstroTurf. To me.
Yeah, I didn't like the feel of it, the way it felt on the dirt. But when I was switching back and forth, I learned really quickly that it really depends more on the surface and where you're at. You know, once it starts to dry out and groove up, I think the gear diff was better. The track was young in the morning and still damp. The ball diff was definitely better. But it really depends on your feel and what you like, you know. So yeah, I mean, I think the new JC car he's coming out with, I think the chassis at one point in time was a little questionable, but it was so well designed. It hit all your wires. It was just a beautiful, beautiful car.
Yep.
But I definitely think, you know, with the new JC and him building he's built his own chassis now. He's making the car more like this original car, where it's going to be a tub chassis car.
Nice. And
you can stick a stealth in that car, right? And I think as long as you're doing that, the JC should be good in any class. Now,
sure.
Anytime I have been involved in a race other than Vegas, we have put the JC car at, if you remember right, at North Carolina, the first year I introduced it, brought it to the track, we ran it in the Y2K class, which meant it ran with the B5s, the B4s, and all that. And then in Indiana, we did the same thing. We made the car run in the rear motor revival class.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Now in Vegas, the car was allowed to run with the regular cars.
Yep.
Just because they didn't have those type of classes. You know, I think the Vegas rules could be tightened up a little bit, and I hope they allow us to do that this year. So, you know, to make that race even better, I think, you know, you allow on the heritage cars. I think I'm trying to remember who asked the question. Maybe it was Scotty. Somebody asked a question about they saw a lot of wide armed cars on the RC10s this year at Vegas, the older years.
Yep.
And we did allow that. We did expand that rule, and we all decided in the background that running the 2.2 wheels, it's damn near impossible to run a short arm car and have any steering at all.
It is. I've tried it. It kind of sucks.
So if you look, this is the car this was my heritage car for, that was going to be my heritage car for North Carolina this year.
Yep. And
this is the car Jay Halsey ran in North Carolina.
Nice.
The change I made is I put OG wide arm RPMs on the front.
Yep.
I would have put Andes if I had them.
Do you get nervous running old plastic?
You know what? I don't, go out, and if it breaks, replace it, right?
Yep.
That's been my motto. And I have not broken a lot of plastics. Now, Jay actually Jason Runo broke some parts on this, testing it for Jay before he got there. I don't know if you remember that, but he was first test run. But this still has the original car, the original arms.
Yep.
From probably 84, 85.
Yeah. That
were drilled to be a J replica like his car. And before Jason broke them, you hear me, Jason? It had the original front arms. It had the original front arms from that time period too that were shaved the same way.
Nice.
Jay did his back in the day.
Yep.
I probably still have one of the original ones laying behind me. But this one is, cut down a little bit like his was back in the day as well. Chassis cut down a little bit.
Yep.
But this was just an old, RC10 that I had built a Halsey replica out of. And, we just spent some time on it, getting it ready, putting new electronics, and took it to him. And, this is really like it does. Like, I guess I'm not completely heritage because I can't stand freaking wire wings anymore, especially depending on the surface you're running.
Yep. Yep.
But it's really about as close to heritage as you can be, right?
Sure.
Still has a 6-gear.
Old gold shocks.
Old gold shocks. Got the ball slipper still in it, right?
Okay.
you know.
But I would put that wing mount more towards like the ball cups
Yeah,
and
I
ball
agree.
studs
Yeah.
than a performance thing.
Yeah, definitely not a performance thing, right? It's really just to, you know, keep the car intact, just like a ball cup.
Yeah.
Because who wants their wing flying off in a race?
You know, it happened a ton during the Vintage Clash, but it
Yeah.
did not happen that much in Vegas.
Right, it did not. Why do you think that is?
Well, the new mounts and also the more mild layout in having grass instead of tubes as barriers.
Yeah.
I think that I keep saying that grass saved
Oh, it's beautiful.
so many parts. Oh, it looked awesome. Like, I mean, Kenny donating that, you know, there's been rumor about this year's layout, and everybody's saying 91 Detroit, 91 or whatever. And I was hoping it'd be the mid 90s Yatabe, but regardless, I hope they do grass again, even if it doesn't fit. I really do, because that
Are you talking about the this year's Vegas race?
yes,
Yeah.
so because that is way easier on cars and it looked very nice.
Did you say something about? I'm sorry, I was putting the car back and I missed what you said. Did you say something about what track you thought it was going to be?
There's been rumors it's going to be Detroit, and I was hoping it'd be the mid 90s Yatabe.
Yeah, I think that if I'm thinking the way AE thinks,
yeah,
and they plan on doing this race for years,
yep,
I think you're going to see a sequence. They started out with the first World Championship. I think they move on. Yeah, they'll move on to the 87. That's my thoughts.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Well. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
I think to have it where you can slowly progress and go. You know, in all honesty, I still think the race is better fit for every other year. And if we could figure out a way to have it off years of like the Clash race, wherever it be.
Sure.
Because what I would like to see is I would like to see one big race per year that rotates around to different tracks. Because I'm telling you right now, the plan is for me and Son of Anderson, J Concepts, anybody that wants to come aboard, and there will be a ton of people come aboard, is to get back to Lake Park in 2027 to have a vintage, to recreate the Winter Nats and do a vintage Winter Nationals down in Lake Park.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That'd be so awesome.
Yes. I mean, wow. Some of my best memories as a kid. And
I never got to go down there. You know, we didn't start well, my dad traveled in the late 80s, early 90s. I didn't get to start traveling until about 94, and that was just regionally, like Oswego, the race prep championships with, you know, Skull racing with those guys, with Ellis and or North Dakota. There were a lot of fast dudes up there we went and raced against. But other than that, man, I was just lucky. I was just lucky to race at my local track every Saturday.
Yeah. Y'all want to try to go through and answer some of these questions?
Well, I was going to say, Tim had a good one here. He goes,
yeah,
thoughts on aftermarket parts for cars like the 89 and the 91 stealth cars that never had aftermarket parts, you know, and should these cars be ran stock? Well, you know, they were prototypes.
Yes. They were never produced kits. So this question has come up quite often.
It's open for interpretation. I'll tell you what, Mayfield had a tough time with that 89.
So did I, man.
He was wholesaling the car every round.
Yeah, it was tough. And I haven't had the Dragon Punch upgrades. And it's not, the car was fantastic. And I can't wait to get it outside on a bigger surface. And but Tim, I think you're right. And do y'all know who Tim is?
I believe so.
So he's kind of the one that designed the world's car when it was first re-released. He was behind that. So he worked for Associated for years. Probably one of the best RC engineers, in my opinion, in a very long time.
Yep.
Super sharp. But yes, Tim, I think upgrades for those cars should be allowed because what I have sitting on my table, and one thing I wish I would have had there, but people gave me some tips and tricks, is I have some 3-degree toes.
Yep.
Right, that I'm going to put on the car that I wish I would have had with me there. But Tim showed me a couple tricks to get mine towed in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I screwed up. I threw everything at that car and listened to some other people rather than listening to what I should have done. And I couldn't even drive my car in the mains. It was bad because I tightened my diff all the way down. You got to drive to your conditions, not to others' conditions, right?
Yeah.
But Tim, yes, I think that as long as it fits in the realm of vintage, I think they should be allowed. Yes, I think offering 3-degree toes, because I guarantee you that like Masami and his dad were figuring that out at the track and
100%.
sitting there carving out parts and making them for that car. So
another
I
thing,
never did get my set in the mail, Tim, by the way.
One thing I don't see too many people doing, which I thought I'd see more in Vegas, is adding anti-squat.
Yeah.
I've been doing that since the early 90s, just putting a little washer underneath the rear, because
that was happening
back in the day.
It was happening at Vegas.
Which is good.
There was a lot of stuff going on with those cars.
Yeah, it's I'm just, and like you said, it's like, should that stuff be allowed? It's like, so you have Factory Works. They're basically reproducing the A&L steering rack, which is an awesome steering rack. I think it's the A&L, wasn't it?
Yep, A&L, which if you don't know, he's not reproducing. He basically bought all the remaining parts from Daryl with A&L.
I got one for my T2.
they in my opinion, they're still the best steering rack made for an RC10, hands down. And I am a J Concepts through and through guy, but I also love the Factory Works, and so everybody knows there are a few design flaws with the J Concepts, but as long as you know what to do with them, they're great, and it just depends.
Left side of my J Concepts one keeps coming loose, but with the team car, but I tighten her back down and it's fine for a while.
You gotta shorten that screw just a little bit or get the right size screw, and you should be good.
Yep.
So Scotty Slater, Lake Park is in, I'm trying to remember the exact city in Florida. It's not far outside of Tampa. Wonderful track. Great place. I'm trying to see. So, if I get caught up, and what I will tell y'all is let's work together, right? Let's figure this out as a community, because that's what created all this, is community.
Yes.
And let's figure out what works best for us. And, not every race, and there's starting to be a lot of races. So what I would tell y'all, if you have to make a decision between a race, if it's not about cost, right, you got to go to the one your heart tells you to go to.
Right.
If it is about cost and you want pick something closer to you, those options are out there now. You're not gonna, you're gonna, you don't feel that you have to make every single vintage race and burn yourself out. Let me tell you that much. Coming from a guy that's tried to do it, it will wear you the hell out.
Yeah.
And you gotta, and I know how much you two guys travel too. And it's like, sometimes you just got to take a beat, take something for yourself, do something that's good for you. My focus is going to be on the ONS series this year. I'm not even sure I'll make Vegas. I'm not even sure I'll make Vonas just because of work obligations.
Work always gets in the way.
Doesn't it? One of these days, I'm going to figure out how to make millions in RC, and I won't have to worry about it anymore. Right? I'm just waiting on
Zach will let you know when he figures it out.
Zach. I'm just waiting on Zach to write me a check. And
Scotty's right. We need there needs to be more West Coast races, and there needs to be
Yes.
more middle of the country, because it seems like
all
everything
East
is
Coast.
on the easy. Yeah, everything's Carolina, Florida, Georgia, whatever.
they're coming. I mean, you're
Well,
gonna have, yeah.
There's a track in Iowa that is all old school. But people still race there. That's where Rinderknecht and Sutherland warmed up for the Worlds for Australia. It's called Hobby Haven.
Yep.
I would love to talk to those people about having a vintage race in end of 20, like I would say August 26, because for some reason that area of Iowa gets pounded with rain.
Yep.
But it's like, dude, I'll race direct or I'll do whatever. I'd be happy to do it. Because a lot of people hear me on mod. They don't know that I've been race directing. This is going to be my 17th year this year.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm a race director first. I'm actually talking to Eddie Henley about maybe getting a gig here or there, because it's like, I've talked about this before too. I don't charge a flat rate. I charge per entry, so the track owner can bake it into the entry fee, and I don't screw them and they don't screw me, that type of deal. I actually got the idea from Notch Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the first one I heard talk about charge per entry, not a flat fee.
Yeah.
And yeah. Jeremy says Hobby Haven, that damn tree. Yeah, that tree ain't
That damn
going
tree,
nowhere.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I didn't know. I thought I heard both of y'all talk at the same time.
Oh, Jeremiah's wondering, does Vegas have any kind of permanent tracks? No, they do not. I don't believe.
Yeah, they do. There's the one that they talked about running at. I can't even think of the name of it. It's right on the outskirts of Vegas, downtown.
Oh, is that the one they're
The big white dirt track, A scale, sits right off the.
They used to have a couple carpet tracks and they closed down.
Yeah, they had a beautiful carpet track, but yeah, that's a story for another day. I have a question for you, Dirk.
Yes, sir.
So 110 scale vintage off-road, super popular. The pan cars have their own little lane and all that stuff like that. Why is there not a huge group clamoring for vintage A scale? Was it just so I didn't get into A scale off-road until 07?
Yeah.
Was it so horrible? I mean,
I don't think A scale, but when I was in the 80s, when I left, it was really 10 scale racing. That was it. And then we were just getting into one of the big things that was happening was 1/5 scale sprint car racing.
Yep.
Was starting to become a huge thing. But it was really just for the people that had a lot of money and liked to gamble is what it was about. Because it was like high stakes entries and high stake winnings, kind of like real racing. But the cars were freaking, I mean, you'd have probably $5,000 into one of them, you know, back in the 80s.
Yeah. And so that's
I never really remembered A scale.
Well, people are saying it wasn't around, but it was around. It was around in the early 90s.
Yeah, I think I never saw it, right?
Yep.
And when I came back, I didn't even know really the A scale existed until I decided to race A scale my first time at P&B, and I was like, well, that was freaking crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. Lance was there.
What was the famous fire pitcher?
The fire pitcher was at the 2015 Vintage Off-Road Nationals, I believe.
Is that there's a famous picture of Dirk's e-buggy with just flame shooting straight out of the body.
Yeah. Well,
You-
that was
You got a hard time for that for
oh my God. That was actually this truck.
Yep.
Oh boy.
So this is Phoenix.
Yep.
So this is my XXT.
Yep.
If you look, so this car almost people just got to keep bringing the shit up, don't they?
Yeah, Brad Clifford. We're not talking about e-buggy. Nitro buggy came around in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too. It's like Nitro back in those days, I mean, it was a dream for me to race just gas truck. I got a gas truck for my 18th birthday in like 2000.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah, that is
So I'm realizing
that you're telling me that was on fire?
yeah, that I don't have any I don't think I have any transmission screws in this car. I guess I didn't finish rebuilding it. Glad I didn't race it. But if you look, I'll put it up to the camera. You can still see the burn marks on the rear tower.
Yeah, I vaguely see them.
Yeah, they so there's still parts from the original car on here, but a lot of them are starting to be very, very fragile.
Yep.
And you know, that's why this car kind of means so much to me is I've retired it a couple times and I finally brought it back out. And the first year I brought it back out, I went to Vonats. I think I finished second or third with it.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, like the front arm still has burn marks on it a little bit. So it's this is the truck.
Yep.
And you know, the story is, you know, I was still getting back into learning about lipos and understanding all that stuff. But when you left, I had an old ProTech, I think it was a ProTech charger.
Yep.
And when you left at night, you had to unplug all your stuff, right? Yeah. I come back in, I replugged it back in, and it reset the settings on the charger. And back then, never see it ever again out of me. I never charge in my cars anymore. I started to smell a weird smell. I knew something was going on. I immediately just thought about getting the car out. By the time I was getting the car outside, it just burst in flames.
Yeah.
Luckily, the body was off of it. That's not the original body, but the body was off of it. But I could not get that damn low-C body pin out of it. And I could, if I could have just shuck it out of there and it would have been no problem.
See, a lot of people don't know the low-Z body pins were thick and they snapped in there.
Yes, it was hard to get out.
Yes.
Scotty, I do not name all my cars. I name my real cars, but not my, just my real cars and my shoes.
Yeah. It's kind of wild to see the things that have been becoming classic, like outside of the RC world too. Have you guys seen the going rate for like a Beretta Z26, a mint condition one? They're asking like $28,000-$30,000 for those shit boxes.
Starting to get high, man.
Yeah, and you know, because our generation, Zach's at the tail end of it. It's like I'm kind of right in the middle because you're Gen Z or Gen X. I'm at the tail of. They call me a mix between millennial because I'm 82, so I'm millennial, but they call me elder millennial, and I am elder.
You're right on the cusp, aren't you?
Yeah. So
and
you know,
I'm right there at the end of the millennials. So
yeah, definitely. So I don't have a ton of disposable income, but I see things that I wish I had when I was a kid. It's like I could get that. Like I'm looking at a Street Fighter 2 arcade machine right over there right now.
Oh my god, it's such a waste of money.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I used to. I need to find a joystick for it. It's a 6-axis joystick, which this particular one's hard to find. The jump stopped working. But I went through the whole game as Blanca, and I've never done that before. And what's funny is Blanca is actually his little Brazilian mother meets him at the end of it, and because Blanca's a nuclear freak.
So Blanca's a male.
Yeah, he's that green dude.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Well,
at the end of all of them, they each have their own stories. But then I also have a couple of arcade one-up machines because when Walmart's like, we don't want to carry these anymore because they're big and whatever, I got a Galaga and a Miss Pac-Man for $50 a piece.
oh my God, I love Galaga. It's my all-time favorite game.
My daughter crushes at Galaga.
Yeah,
I'm terrible at it. I loved it when I played it on Atari. I never played it in the arcade. I played it on Atari.
I love pinball, and then my favorite when I was a young kid, probably I don't know, 7 to 10 maybe. My parents owned an arcade.
Okay, nice.
And Crazy Climber. Did you ever play Crazy Climber?
Yes.
That's like
I'll be right back.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to talk. So your parents owned an arcade. Did you ever have it? It was tabletop like, but it was taller as a demolition derby game.
I don't remember the demolition.
Yeah, because it was a.
I remember we had a couple little taller tables because we had like the name of it was Family Tradition. So we had like a little restaurant that my mom served to all the factory workers around the area during the day, and they would come over and eat and play arcade games. And we had a little dance area where we had live music and the 80s type. This would have been the 70s, late 70s type stuff. Yeah.
So there's an arcade by our old house. Like I look at where my sister and I used to walk from when I was a little kid, from our place to where the arcade used to be. And I'm like, oh my God, like there couldn't have been that much stuff in traffic back then. But I look at how busy it is now. And it's like, I would never, ever, ever let my kids, because it's just so busy. And it's like 6 lanes of traffic and all that. But there's an arcade. You could keep yourself, like my sister and I would split $5 and we'd be busy for the entire afternoon.
Yeah. You could play for a long time.
Yeah. Jeremiah says, look me up when you get a super off-road. I was looking for them for a while, but to find one with 3 fully functioning wheels, you're looking at $1,800 or more. Wow. So did you go to the Pinball Hall of Fame in Vegas?
No, I did not, man. I should have done that.
Both you and Rails, because Rails is a huge pinball fan himself.
Freaking, I love it. I when we moved from Kentucky, I sold my vintage pinball machine.
Okay.
But the thing is I barely ever played the damn thing anyway.
Yep.
It's I was always wrenching on RC or freaking working. So. Yep. But yeah, I mean, good call, guys. I think we're getting kind of approaching that 1 hour and 40-minute mark. So
we are.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. I mean, I could talk about vintage all night, and
so can I, but Zach can't.
Yeah.
Well, I think this would be great when the rules get established to revisit this again.
Yep. Yeah, I think that would be great too. I was just getting ready to recommend the same thing, Zach. Let's have another one and talk about the rules. Let's for now, let's do this.
Yeah.
Support the people that are making parts for vintage.
Right.
Don't here's what I will tell you. Don't do things out of emotion.
Yep.
Allow, because a lot of times when we make mistakes in life in general, we do things out of emotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just be supportive of the companies that are supporting us. And if there is something that's totally drastic, maybe instead of taking it to the air, maybe we reach out to the company first.
Sure.
And see what their thoughts were behind the process and why they did it.
But and like I said, we're not just picking on one company. Just
we're really not. Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, somebody brought up the Rubin cars, and
Oh yeah.
In $1,600 to race a 4-wheel drive car. And, Ruben is one of my favorite people. And,
but also
what I would tell you is if you can do it,
yep,
and you like the cars and you have the money, do it. If you
so
don't,
also
there's other options.
Those cars, Ruben's cars, he doesn't make a lot of them. Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, so a lot of people don't. So I quote parts for. I used to make metal parts, but now I'm one of the office stooges. So if you want 100 parts of XYZ widget at my shop, we'll say just a number. It'll cost you $4.50 if you order 100. If you order 1,000, it's going to cost you $1.15 a part.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's the thing too. So if he's not doing the numbers, he's paying more, or he's doing more, like, because once you set up something for manufacturing and you do a little over 100, it just starts to fly and you get into a rhythm and things get quicker and quicker. Like our discounts go all the way up to 10,000 parts, because from the difference between 100 parts and 10,000 parts, the setup time disappears, and the labor goes way down.
Yeah.
So, and that's why a Rubrix, that wheeler, it's a great looking car. And yeah, if I were to do something like that, I would definitely look into that, because that's one of the best looking cars in the 4-wheel drive class. That or an old double X4.
Yeah, they're both really good looking cars. They have some similarities to them, honestly.
Yeah.
And another one, and we'll get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
But I give kudos to Dan and Jose with Dragon Punch and 3ZE for coming out with the XX squared.
Oh yeah, that's
they truly put a lot of heart and thought into that car to make it so all the geometry, all the measurements are right there, exact with what the original cars were. And, they kept a lot of the stuff original, but hey, we can't forget about the Losi folks.
No.
And in the spirit of trying to keep that car alive. I mean, that was a true passion project for those guys. And
I know we're wrapping up. I know we're wrapping up here.
Yeah.
But I was talking, I text with Wortel here and there. I go, Mike, I got a great idea for you guys. He's like, what do you got? I said, you need to re-release the JRX2. He's like, what do you mean? I said, look, Losi's not going to do it, or Horizon's not going to do it. There is no longer a patent on the 110 scale JRX2. What's stopping you? And I said, it would be, not only would it sell probably almost as well as the RC10, because I have a lot of friends that are Losi guys that are like, yeah, I have my JRX2, but I don't want to bring it out because they're afraid it'll break. It'll not only sell well, that would be one of the best troll moves in all of RC ever done.
It would be amazing. How cool would it be to bring Losi Jr. back to Associated where he originally started?
Yes.
And bring him in and make the Losi name under Team Associated. That would be like the ballerest move of all freaking time.
It'd be a circle of life.
It would be very cool.
Yeah.
Now, John is making some parts, and I think you're probably going to see some more parts added to that. And like you're saying, I would not be surprised. I could be wrong, but I don't know I haven't talked to Fan in a while and see what he's doing, but who knows what's going on in the background. But that would be like, you're right, Joe. And man, that would make my I could just retire and be happy and be done if that would happen.
I would buy 2 of them myself.
I would, yeah.
As an associated driver, I do not get deals on the re-releases. None of the associated drivers.
None of us do, right?
So
well, only if you're involved in the creation of one, sometimes you do.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I mean, I paid full price for my team car, and I was happy to do it. I would buy 2 JRX2s at full price if they were to do that.
That would be it. I think that's so good. We should end the show on that. Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Bill, I literally had to be up at 5 a.m. Central to get the doctor in the morning. So, guys, I can't thank y'all enough. Hopefully, I'll try to go back and try to answer some of their questions.
Yeah, sorry, guys. We get to talking.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, cool.
But good show,
Thanks
guys.
for coming on, Dirk.
Yeah.
I'm Joe Zer Jr. With me has been Zach Donathan and our special guest, Old School Dirk. And we have ran out of talent. Have a good night, guys.
See you guys.